If you have a problem with topics like slavery and death, then don't watch the video. I briefly mentioned both of those things inside the video to highlight something out of a character's origin. So if you're triggered by this, please don't watch the video and enjoy your day. Hello and welcome to another video onto my channel. My name is Norberger and the channel is called the same. Today I want to talk about one of my favorite topics in writing stories, and that topic is how I create characters. Just as a quick fact check, this is not a tutorial of how you should build your characters. It's simply an exploration of my way to do it. If you have other methods that you use to build your characters, that's completely fine with me. I just wanted to talk about it with you because I love creating new and interesting characters for my story. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna build a character based off the following steps while recording this video. So in this video, I'm gonna show you my 6 steps of how I build a character. Those steps can be put into any order you want to. I just make the steps in this order to explain my thought process better. So what are those 6 steps that I'm talking about so frequently? Well, let's find out and talk about characters. Step 1. Defining the role of the character. As you know, there are many different types of character roles. There are main characters, side characters, supporting characters, antagonists, protagonists, mentors, best friends, parents, siblings, etc. The first thing I ask myself is, what is the reason the character is introduced inside a story? Just to clarify this, the role of a character can be changed inside a story even after you write them. Sometimes writing a character specifically for one arc can be changed. For example, Phineas Sappington, the daughter of Pocesta, is one of the main supporting characters inside Thunder's Adventures, The Amulet of Power. But when I first introduced her character, I loved her design, personality, etc. so much that I decided she should be reintroduced inside a later story arc. I saw her potential to be a mighty and useful ally to the main character group, so I just changed my mind. Just because you first decided on one thing doesn't mean that you can't change your mind while writing the story. Step 2. Character names. The name of the character is one of the most important things inside the story. The name of a character defines so many factors of them. And I talk about things like personality traits, the looks of a character, the origin of a character, how they talk, how they act, what makes them special, and last but not least, the name is the reason why you recognize the character inside the story at first. If a character doesn't have a name, you have to make them recognizable in any other way. Let's say a funny head, a body part that stands out on the character, such as a hooked nose or a different eye color. Maybe it's even in their clothes. Maybe the character wears a mysterious ring or something like that. But eventually, your characters have to recognize a recurring character even without a name. And that's where nicknames come in handy. Maybe the nickname has to do with their looks, their voice, their past, their choice of clothes, etc. But the most important thing is that you have a name for them. I can recommend you a website I'm gonna link in the video description down below. It's called behindthename.com. I especially use this website for the great random name generator they have. There you can decide in what language the name of your character should be. In fact, let's use the name generator live. I'm going with an ambiguous Italian name with a random surname, and that's how we're gonna call the character we use from now on. As you can see, the name of this character is Maria Ranieri, and now you can click on the name and find out what the name means. And here we go to the name Mary, where Maria is coming from, and it means something like, one moment, sea of bitterness, rebelliousness, and wished for child, or beloved, or my love. But there's also very, 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 very many uh, languages where Maria comes in, but you should know that Maria is an older name, so it's more likely to use it on an older character. So now we can possibly say the character is like, I don't know, let's say 33 years old. And now we make, and that's the, yeah, the age is depending on when your story plays, and my story starts in 2014, so we're gonna introduce them in 2015 in, I don't know, let's say September 2015. So that means that you can just see where you could introduce this character, and in my case I'm just gonna go and take my timeline document and see where this fits in, because I'm not really sure where this fits in. So September 2015 is in the castle of Awi. So now we know where it's. Oh no, that's 2016. I'm sorry. So we're gonna introduce them in a later, or more likely in 2016, not 2015, because now we can say, yeah, they get introduced in Frontiers Heroes 4. So in book 4, Fenris Heroes. And that's where we can now decide the birth year. So we just take our calculator app and calculate 2016, that's where they got introduced, minus 33, that's the age they are at this moment, and you get the birth year of 1983. So yeah, that's the whole thing. And now the second thing is Raneri. Raneri is a form of Raniero, and that is a form of Rainer, and that means advice and army. So advice army, so it's possibly a character that served in the army, so that's a given. So we're just gonna go ahead and say, I don't know, they're a protagonist most likely, so we're just gonna say, under allies, we write protagonist. Then a little star behind, so we know that we don't know the gender yet. So, now to the next part. Step 3, the looks of the character. The second thing that is guaranteed to make a character recognizable is their looks, because every character is unique in their own way, and if you can manage a unique look with a unique personality, you have a character that is recognizable. So, established as before in the last clip, Maria Raneri is possibly a member of the military, so I decided to go with title of corporal. And that means Maria Raneri is now Corporal Maria Raneri of the Falcon military. Why Falcon, you ask? Because in book 4 of Fenris Heroes, the book plays most of the time in Falcon, so I just made them a corporal of the Falcon military. So that means we make the look of, oh, look, that person is in the military. And that means we have to think about how they look. But to the clothes, etc., we come later in the video. So, now to something important for the character. What gender are they? I decided to go with non-binary, and sexuality I go with pansexual because I love my own sexuality and gender, so a little bit, yeah. Representation in the story doesn't miss the beat, so yeah, let's go with that. The next things I go with is the hair, so let's make them a blonde. So now we write down a blonde in the hair section. Now to the eyes. I decided to go with the eye color of hazel. To put in a comedic effect, I decided to make them small and broad built. So that means in build we take broad. And now to their height, how tall they are, I went with 1 meter and 53 centimeters, or 4.9 feet. The hairstyle, well, I go with a ponytail, so yeah, I think that fits. I think we should now move on with the next step. Step 4, personality. The personality and looks of a character don't have to match up at all. In our case, Maria Ranieri could be a total bobblehead and always forgets to, I don't know, bind their shoelaces and stumble all the time. But this is what I call not fulfilling the expectation of the audience, so in other words, my readers. I love to mess around with character expectations. I think the best example for this is my design for the god of fate and druids, Mairo. So you think he's an old man with long beard and is wise? Nah, let's go for a middle-aged man with curly hair that works as an optician and sells himself as a so-called party oracle. I love messing around with personality and looks just because it's fun to make fun of tropes that I find boring. Yeah, a design and personality can match up, but it doesn't have to. Play with your audience and make them expect the unexpected. So that's why I'm gonna make Maria Ranieri a total badass, but they stumble over their feet all the time, so they're a bobblehead. So that's fun. That's a fun character expectation for a character you don't know yet, so yeah. Step 5. What does the character wear? Clothes say most of the time more than 1,000 words. Or does it? Well, yes, no. A character who has this in formal wear most of the time is most likely from the richer parts of society, but it doesn't have to be. As an example for this, I introduce you to one of my protagonists called Eddie Daniels. Most of the time he wears a vest, bow tie, brown leather shoes and suspenders. But he isn't born rich or anything like that. He was born as a slave because his mother was a slave for the country of Avens. After he escaped slavehood with his powers, he gathered a small amount of money and decided to buy clothes that make him look like he's one of the rich people of the society. But now, back to Maria Ranelli. We established them as a corporal of the Falconian military, so one small detail is very important. A little pin that looks like an orange falcon with open wings. That marks the rank inside the Falconian military. Now to the bigger picture. Let's begin with some black leather boots. Then we go with an open jacket that looks way too big for them. The jacket is in camouflage colors. What can we give them as a next detail? Oh, I know! How about a necklace that looks like a small bird? So I think we should move on to the next and last step. Step 6. The origin. Last but not least, there's always the origin story. For me, The origin story is important so that I can explore the psyche of a character that I'm designing. That's where all the small details come into play and make a bigger picture out of it. In the same step, you can establish so many things. Things like, who are their parents? Do they have siblings? What are their hobbies? Where did they grow up? And so on and so forth. I hope you get the idea of what I want to highlight here. And yeah, I decided to go with a single backstory for Maria, so now I tell you the story. Maria was born on the 7th of December 1983 as a child of a librarian and an officer of the Falconian army. When they were 8 years old, their mother took them to a shooting range to teach them how to shoot with a gun. That's where they learned to shoot. Their childhood was not that dramatic, but that changed when Maria's 16th birthday was around the corner. One day before their birthday, their mother was shot while baking the birthday cake for Maria. Maria was the one who found their mother lying on the floor. They were too late to save their mother. So that night, Maria swore vengeance against the shooter who they identified as a sniper of the Shadow Army who killed their mother for a bounty that she had on her head. So as you see, Maria's character was formed by this traumatic experience and establishes them as a good shooter. But what happened after their 16th birthday? Well, simple. They joined the military like their mom and became corporal when they turned 20 years old. From this simple origin, we know that they joined the military in the year 1999 and became corporal 4 years later in 2003. You can also include so many things inside the origin story, because the origin story is a part where you can teach the readers how they can relate to a character. For me personally, I just decided to go with this because, well, I wanted to make an officer with a tragic backstory, and yeah, I think I nailed it. It's not that complex, but yeah, it's simple why they joined the military to take revenge on the sniper of the Shadow Army, and also their motivation was their mother. So that's the thing. So what else can I say? Well, nothing except I hope you liked the video. If you enjoyed it, press the like button and subscribe to this channel. It would help me tremendously to, well, expand the channel and yeah, make people fall in love with my writing style and my books. And yeah, check out my website. My Twitter, Facebook, Instagram are linked down below. And yeah, what else can I say except goodbye.